What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, let's talk about DEC, SPS, the Flywheel, and Conclave Arcana. I'm going to get heavy on the math here. I hope I get it all right. If I don't, I'm sure people will call me out. So make sure you check the comments before you watch the full video. But what I want to take a look ahead at is how Conclave Arcana and this upcoming pre-sale potentially could have an impact on the amount of SPS burned. So this is what I'm going to do. Let's take a look here at the amount of DEC currently liquid and available in terms of like just overall the distribution, right? So you got, maybe we'll say like 1.1 billion here in terms of players. You got another 242 million in the markets and pools, and the team is holding on to about 40 million here. You add that all up, it gets you to about 1.4 billion. Now, the total amount of DEC that would be required in terms of demand for the, let's put it this way, the total amount in terms of demand for the Conclave Arcana presale, I think we calculated that a while ago, that's going to be 4.4 billion. Again, maybe I'm being a little too bullish here. I'm just giving you the numbers that I'm using. So you got 4.4 billion. We only have 1.4 billion right now. But the thing is, a lot of that DEC, or half of that DEC, gets recycled, right? So half of it gets locked up in the DAO. The other half goes to the team, and the team recirculates it back out into the ecosystem eventually. So let's actually take that down, right? Let's go from, instead of 4.4 billion, we'll do 2.4 billion, which is just slightly over half, right? So that would mean that we'd lock up a majority of that DEC in the DAO, and DEC would actually remain somewhat neutral, which would be good, right? We don't want to have too much excess DEC floating around out there. So in doing that, it's just like, okay, we have 1.4 billion that is liquid already with players, markets, and the DAO, and the company. And we're going to need another 1 billion to help facilitate the rest of the pre-sale and maybe even beyond, right? So all I'm looking at is like, what is this going to look like for another 1 billion DEC to get minted purely from SPS, looking at the prices we have today, and I'm actually going to even be a little bit more conservative. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to take the 1 billion, excuse me, so let's start here, 1 billion. I wish this had, what is that, commas, but I guess it doesn't, so it is what it is. All right, so 1 billion, and I'm going to multiply it not by the peg amount, but just slightly below, right, the point, we'll just say like 950 Splintoshis, because I think we've seen a lot of burning that happens at that level. So we'll multiply that by 0.00095, and that gets you $950,000 of demand, right, USD. If you take that and divide it by SPS at its current price, right, which is 0.07, that would get you, what is this, 135, what was that, 1.35 million? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me multiply that by 0.07. See, I'm already getting the math wrong. Divided by 0.007, right? We're just below that. Well, now we're looking at 135,714,285. But I actually want to leave some wiggle room in here, right? So let's multiply this again times 0.007 to get back to that baseline. Let's just do 950,000, 950, and then divide this by, let's say the demand in SPS brings it back up to about a penny. We were there earlier, but that was also with Bitcoin kind of doing its thing and the rest of the market very frothy. So let's do divided by 0.01. That is 95 million SPS that would be burned at a penny or below, right? So if it was below a penny, then even more would be burned. But going up to a penny, if everything was burned at a penny, it'd be 95 million SPS. Here's what I want to show you. Let's go back to this screen, and you can see the current distribution for SPS. There's 103 million liquid. So there's not even enough SPS out there in the liquid marketplace, right? You got 968 million that's staked. You got another 981 that's in the DAO. So it's really just 103 million that is liquid. And we just talked about the fact that if we burn that much SPS, right, for that amount of DEC, it's going to burn anywhere from 95 million to 135 million, of which, a majority of that range is well above the amount of liquid SPS. Now, the thing is, we are getting SPS minted every day, right? So all of that and most of it is coming liquid now. Yes, the rewards for the game come staked, but validated rewards became liquid. Staking rewards are liquid. LP rewards are liquid, right? So a lot of that stuff can make its way back in. But even still, at our highest, we were minting like I think a million SPS. Well, it was like a million SPS per day. I don't know if it's that high now, but either way, my point is that that's a lot of SPS that's going to need to be burned in order to facilitate just 2.4 billion worth of demand for Conclave Arcana, when truly it's like a 4.4 billion. So I'm using just very conservative numbers to show you that there's not much SPS. So what does this mean in the long run? Well, again, we're assuming that there's going to be that demand there, but it also goes to show just how quickly something like this would spike. Now, again, I want to be very clear. This is not financial advice, and I would actually prefer SPS to not spike, right? I mean, as awesome as that would be, and I've been talking about green candles for days here, right? Green candles is the best form of marketing. I would actually like a slow and steady grind, especially if we're going to be in a choppy Bitcoin, market for the next 3-6 months. With Conclave Arcana coming out in that 3-month time range, it would be kind of cool to see just a slow and steady grind of SPS going up, right, up to a penny, maybe even a little bit above a penny, but we are constantly burning SPS for DEC. We're never getting to a point where there's too much DEC out in the ecosystem. DEC health stays relatively good. DEC supply, circulating supply stays relatively low, or at least moderate in terms of like the amount of demand needed. And we just get into a better position overall by slowly lifting the floor of SPS over time and immensely burning a ton of SPS overall, or at least a lot more than if we were to spike to like 3 cents and continue burning there. So again, I'm just sharing these numbers with you. I was running around with them this morning, and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of exciting. Like, there's not that much liquid SPS out there when you think about it. And when the team is currently buying, we'll just call it like 40 million DEC worth of value every week. Let's actually do that real quick, because I was playing around with that too. So let's just say like 40 million DEC, right, for it to facilitate credit transfers. Although I'm sure that's going to change in the future, especially once Conclave Arcana is out. Multiply that by the same thing, 0.00095. That gets you about $38,000 worth of value. Now I'm going to divide this by, again, SPS up to 1 penny. And that gets us about, how many zeros are there? 38 million SPS getting burned every week. Is that right? Something like that. 380,000. No, my math might be off. All right, whatever. I'll work on this part later. But, you get my point, going back to the whole, what Conclave Arcana will be. At this point in time, I would say that we're really on the cusp of exciting times with Splinterlands. So, and SPS specifically, right? Again, I don't want to get overhyped about this, but there's a reason that I'm accumulating as much as possible, that I've just bought some more recently. And while, again, this is not financial advice, I'm not telling you to go out and do it, I actually don't want to see this thing spike up. I would love for it to just be a slow and steady rise in a healthy way as we bring more players in over the next couple of years. And yes, I'm talking about years, where SPS never goes through these like massive spikes and dips, because that gets people to leave, right? That gets people to come in for the wrong reasons and then to leave because they're upset. I would rather see this over the next 2 years. I would rather see SPS slow and steadily grind up. But what I'm showing you here, right, is where demand is at right now. Where demand is at right now, and where demand could potentially be coming in the future with the associated supply, does make for some exciting setups. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if my math was wrong. That last part probably was, but I think the rest of it should hopefully be decent. But that is all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.